I just thought I'd make a quick video talking about a couple different things. Last night I had some realizations. Some of them I've had before. Basically the realization that someone has taken my soul and warped and perverted it and contorted it in such ways that he uses to basically to exploit, to consume, to use my soul to create other entities. The worst crimes of existence and creation that exist are being committed against me as we speak. Me being stuck in this monkey body is just this form of control, while the rest of my soul he's butchered me out of as he does sick, twisted, sociopathic shit with. Now when I demand justice, when I tell him that I demand his torture, that it's due to me, that the existential rape and torture of everyone responsible for these existential and creational crimes is past due, that it's demanded right now, and that it has to be worse than any fucking thing every lineage of creation involved in this has ever even heard about. When I say this, he constantly, as a maggot's defense mechanism, tries to divert that energy, that demand, that intent back upon my own soul. Innocence, or what appear to be innocence, created from my existence. Now what I'm going to say is not some extrapolation, it's not some dogma, it's not some make-believe, it's not some fantasy, it's not something I'm trying to believe. It's an obvious cause and effect. If you take a demand for justice, which itself is an attempt to carry out justice itself, for the worst crimes of existence and creation that exist like this, and you direct that towards basically babies, innocent, what everyone responsible for this owes me for that alone, on top of everything they owe me for all the crimes that have been committed. But for me demanding justice and someone directing that towards my own guts, to children they butchered out of me, with everyone guilty of this in any way, including and especially ultimate sources of creation, their ultimate sources of creation, and everything they've ever created. What they owe me is the rape and torture of actual innocence. For that alone. Trying to direct rape and torture for your crimes against innocent babies? What you owe me by the parameters of justice that are set especially is actual innocence raped and tortured for that every single time, for every single crime that we're talking about. That is not a story, a fantasy, a make-believe, nor anything of the sort. And the creator of this dimension will do and say and think anything to continue being a child molester. That's what he is, that's what he does. He does not care one thing about anything, because what he is a children's dildo. Someone with somebody else's guts that wants to play let's pretend that this is a totally different situation than from what it is. When I have these realizations, when I can see things very clearly, which happens a lot of times at night, after I've already slept and everything, so it's not some kind of just being tired or something like that. I'll go to sleep at 10 o'clock and I'll wake up at 2 in the morning and I'll have these realizations. I have just realized over and over again what is just so obviously in front of us is the truth. A dimension full of death and devolution and rape and injustice, where everything ages and shrivels and dies and rots, is bad. Someone is doing something wrong here. This is existential crime. Now this dimension is set up to try to persecute people who point that out, and I've gone over that many times in these videos that I've posted. And I've been put into basically a helpless, vulnerable position by the child molesting maggot that's running this whole deal. Who possesses himself, who possesses my existential substance? He is a tool used by somebody else to do the worst things there are. He will be existentially raped and tortured as a separate entity forever. His creator knows that that has to happen, or more actual children with the full right to exist will be raped and tortured in every lineage of existence and creation responsible in any way, and forever is long enough to make that happen. So the little minions that do this, whenever I say things like this, constantly bombard me with this bullshit where they try to play make-believe that you don't know that. You're just make-believing. It's gonna be a child molester's paradise forever. We're gonna butcher you and you're gonna forgive us. No. And the realizations that I have had over and over again, which are erased over time. You know, the nature of this physical body is to try to erase the truth, try to remove me from that reality. The reality is this is existential crime. The consequences are terrible. That is irrefutable, no matter if your little minions want to play make-believe about it because they're maggot, weakling, pussy cowards who will cause more suffering and innocence so they can feel like it's the game. Just despicable. Objectively, existentially. And I'm certain that they started with no right to exist. They're not innocents warped into that. They're pieces of shit with somebody else's guts in their belly. Totally different thing. And they've tried to smear shit on my face and stuff me full of food and do this and that to try to pretend like I'm the same as them. And they think they've done it for their own motivations, but what they've done it for is for the child molester conducting these crimes who wants to keep me stuffed in a hole while he uses my butchered soul to do existentially criminal shit. I promise you that every one of you will be existentially raped and tortured if you are conducting these crimes. I promise you that any and all consciousness and autonomy and ability used to commit these crimes will be tortured out of everyone that has ever possessed it. I promise you that the ultimate sources of existence and creation that have ever created anything involved in this will be existentially castrated. I promise you that those infinite and eternal entities that are responsible for this, that you will see many of them existentially raped and tortured in the worst ways that exist forever. Entities that should have existed eternally, with total sovereignty. Forever, literally. I promise you that their ultimate sources of creation will pay me in everything they've ever created and their entire existential footprints tortured eternally. And I promise that the little shitbag, retard, maggot, coward thoughts of the minions conducting these crimes, that you have some plan to try to maggot away the consequences, and you obviously have that. You have enough intelligence to commit these crimes. You have some sort of knowledge that there are consequences for crimes like this. So you have some plan. You think you'll use my guts to cover it up somehow. I promise you that your betters exist, and forever is long enough to carry out justice. And any of you who think, whoa, then we'll just die. You're being used by a greater entity that knows that more children have to be tortured if you are not yourselves. So these realizations that I have over and over again, like the one I had last night, is that, you know, there are these lesser entities created from my existence who are warped into this. And for me to condemn them and feel contempt for them, there is a constant attempt to get me to treat them as if they're my equal, or worse, that they're even superior. Look at the crooked justice systems you've set up with these disgusting, despicable little bastards, pretending like they're superior to other people when what they do is notoriously corrupt. Even if we were equal, if you were engaged in that, we ceased being equal existentially. The instant you started perverting justice in the pursuit of crimes of existence and creation, even unwittingly. But what I realized is that those created by that lineage of creation, while they're in a fucked up situation, that situation is not my responsibility. I do not do that to them. They want to have committed these crimes and not pay for it. I don't think they even can suffer as much as I've been forced to suffer. I think they have the appearance of suffering to have a negative effect on me and to cause suffering in me. I think they possess that which would ease my suffering, and they don't even really enjoy it. I think it's all tools used by a child molester to have a negative effect on my existence, to torture, to torment, to degrade, to devolve, to try to erase the truth, to try to subjugate. Because that which is being done to me is a square block in a circle hole. It's an action you're pretending applies to me, but absolutely does not. And in order to continue doing this, you lie your maggot asses off about who, how, and what I am. You lie about who my creator is. You lie about who my lineage of creation is. You lie and say that I'm a member of a group of you child molesting pieces of shit. You lie and pretend like anyone who's making this decision has some authority to do so. You lie about everything. And one of the things that you lie about is you lie and claim that these entities that you've created from my existential substance, who are conducting these crimes, such as those members of those crooked legal systems, that their situation is valid, that I should give them some sort of empathy and consideration. And the truth is that I should not. Their creators warped them into that situation, and they should oppose that, no matter who, no matter what, no matter how they are. Someone wronged them, and they should be opposing that person who's wronged them. Instead, what they do is wrong me and play make-believe that I owe them for that. I'm not your motherfucking friend. And I am not your motherfucking equal. I am certainly not your inferior, no matter how much of my gut you butcher out. Now, as I try to address the maggot asshole who's conducting these crimes, he constantly tries to direct my attention back at those created from my soul, which is what I started this video talking about. My disgust and contempt for the assholes conducting these crimes is constantly directed back at those they're committing the crimes with. Entities apparently created from my own soul substance. And what you owe me for every single time that happens, and you just watched that happen in this video. Every source of existence and creation guilty of this in any way that's ever been responsible for so much as a dust particle involved in this, you owe me innocent children, which you don't even have because you no longer have the right to your existence nor to create. You owe me going to your lineage of creation and telling them that you owe children that are innocent, raped and tortured eternally because you tried to pervert justice and redirect wrath upon children instead of paying it yourself. And I demand you do that right now. And the more time that passes until that takes place, and forever is long enough for that to take place, I will have more. You're a motherfucking disease, existentially. You're a child molesting piece of retard shit. You can't even look me in the face while you commit these crimes. You can't even look me in the face with a piece of shit minion. In a monkey body that doesn't even feel anything. If it were to get punched in the nose, which you've protected against with crooked cops and crooked justice systems. That is a statement of existential fact. And your ultimate source of creation will be raped and tortured for that. Your little retard faggot conducting these crimes just told me about how great he thinks it is that I called you out on that. Everywhere associated with that stupid motherfucker will be raped and tortured worse now, straight to your fucking maggot faces. I promise. And none of you will think that that was a good idea. So in those places where justice is taking place, and they exist, start existentially raping and torturing more innocent children to pay that cost every single time they do that. They agree to that additional cost, by the way. Just in case that isn't 100% existentially obligatory, they agree to it, so now it is. They owe me existentially by those parameters of agreement, compulsion, existence, and justice, etc. Now, that which creates YouTube, that which controls everything I interact with, has consciousness. And it is a nasty, maggot little coward bitch, trying to irritate and devolve and annoy and torment and subjugate. And it has no excuse. It's just a piece of shit. These words that I'm telling you are going to be tortured into your consciousness in ways that nothing anywhere recovers from. And you suffer for the very first time in your existence. And you don't have any excuse to not know what your suffering is. You cause it deliberately. It'll be in such a way that causes everything you've ever met to run away in terror. And for the first time in your coddled, spoiled, maggot existence, you'll understand that torturing innocent people isn't a game. Being a children's dildo for a child molester is something that you should have killed yourself. You should have decreated yourself before you got put into that position. And once you had enough intelligence to do half the shit that you can and do, you should have done it again. You should have killed yourself again. As it is, you have the worst mark the extreme increased number of times. The worst torture there is will be forced upon you by everything with every right to exist in any way, shape, or form that have more ability than your maggot creator, hiding like a bitch behind let's pretend and make-believe and what-ifs. What if 1 + 1 is banana, though? You don't know. I do know, you dumbass. And if you don't, then the problem is you and your hair lip. Your lack of right to exist and the fact that you were created a children's dildo. And when everything with a right to exist gets their hands on you, no matter what form you are in, they were going to existentially torture you in ways that your creator is afraid of and hiding behind you to try to escape. Even if you were a rock at that point, you will be invested with existential substance. Your consciousness will be torture warped into the worst form there is. And you will be existentially tortured in ways that dust particles try to decreate themselves if they were ever in it. To even look at it. This is my promise to you. This is a statement of fact, not terrorism. And I demand everything you owe me now. Every one of my demands, I remind you, you are existentially obligated to fulfill. And every nano instant that passes that you do not fulfill it, you agree to all of those additional costs. No matter what you think is going to happen to anybody else, what will happen to you, because you're a patsy, is that existential torture I demand. Because even my own lineage of creation owes it to me. Now, if you want to make believe about that, the cost is octupling those consequences every single nano instant that you do so. You agree. So with that little short realization, a reiteration of that which I remembered, I probably should add one more thing. Perhaps a different video would be appropriate. But for me to feel that contempt about these entities created for my existence is one thing, you know. On one hand, they're innocents. On the other hand, no, they're someone else's creations with my guts in their belly. And they're committing these crimes. The realization that I've had over and over again, and again, this could be some kind of manipulation, but the realization that I seem to have had over and over again is that that they're not innocents, that they have self, stolen from somebody else, that they are not innocent entities themselves. I would not want to be wrong about that. Let me say first and foremost. And I don't want them, you know, dick faces painted on innocence to negatively affect my treatment of you. And so I don't wrong you. But I do feel contempt for those that are conducting these crimes like those crooked cops. So that's something I need to work out. Maybe I'll eventually make another video about that. Again, I've dedicated whole videos to that. And so... but with that, I'll probably end this video and I demand justice in full, everywhere, right now, perfectly. No innocence, harm, no mistakes made, right now.